I've always been called the responsible one in my family, which, if you translate through years of passive-aggressive dinners and backhanded compliments, actually means the one who cleans up everyone else's mess. My sister, Anna, was the golden child, born 3 years before me, blessed with that effortless charm that made teachers adore her and my parents beam with pride. If Anna so much as sneezed, Mom would call it delicate. If I sneezed, she'd ask why I didn't cover my mouth fast enough. Growing up, everything was divided unevenly but dressed in the language of fairness. Anna got the new iPhone for school projects. I got her old one because we don't waste in this family. She got piano lessons. I got extra chores because you're more practical anyway. The thing about favoritism is that you stop noticing the exact moments it breaks you. You just adapt. By the time I turned 18, I was working part-time at a bookstore, paying rent to live at home, and buying my own groceries while my parents covered every expense for Anna's out-of-state college. I used to tell myself it built character. It probably did, though it also built a quiet bitterness I carried like a second skin. When Anna got married, the family threw what can only be described as a small royal wedding. I was her maid of honor, of course, translation. Unpaid laborer, emotional support human, and crisis manager rolled into one. When I graduated college with a 3.9 GPA, my celebration was dinner at home and a "we're proud of you, kiddo" tossed over lasagna. After years of scraping and saving, I finally landed a stable job in it and moved into a small apartment downtown. It wasn't much, 1 bedroom, paper-thin walls, a kitchen smaller than Anna's walk-in closet, but it was mine. I could breathe there. No one could rearrange my furniture, open my mail, or tell me I was too independent for my own good. I thought distance would soften things. It didn't. Family group chats were still a flood of Anna's milestones. Lucas started preschool. Josh got a new job. Sophia lost a tooth. My updates, like paying off my car or getting a promotion, were met with a polite "nice," sandwiched between emoji spam. So when I decided, after years of saving, that I wanted to buy a house, I kept it to myself. I knew how this would go. They'd find a way to make it about Anna. Everything always looped back to her, her comfort, her kids, her problems. I wanted one thing that was just mine, untouched by their constant taking. For months, I looked at listings quietly. After work, I'd scroll through Zillow while eating dinner alone, imagining a place where no one could barge in and claim space that wasn't theirs. It wasn't about luxury, it was about peace. And for a while, I almost had it, until a coworker named Lisa opened her mouth at the wrong time. The next day, my mother called me, voice sugary and suspiciously cheerful, asking why she had to hear from someone else that I was looking for a house. Mom's voice had that sugary brightness that always meant trouble. "So, Katie," she began, dragging out my name like she was easing into a sales pitch, "why didn't you tell us you're house hunting? Anna and I have been talking. We have some great ideas for you." My stomach sank. That phrase never meant ideas for me. It meant plans I'd somehow end up paying for. "Oh, I'm just browsing right now," I said, keeping my voice calm. "Nothing serious yet." "Well, you'll want something big enough for everyone," she continued cheerfully. "At least 4 bedrooms so Anna and the kids can visit, and maybe a guest room for your father and me." I blinked. "Mom, I don't have kids." She laughed like I'd said something adorably naive. "I meant Anna, obviously. You'll want them to feel at home." There it was, the inevitable twist. My future house had already been mentally converted into a family commune. By the next morning, I had a dozen texts from her and Anna. Links to sprawling suburban McMansions filled my inbox, properties with 3-car garages, massive yards, and price tags that could choke a mortgage broker. "This one's great for family barbecues." "Look, a finished basement. Josh could make it his office." "Close to good schools." Schools for children that weren't mine. At first, I tried reasoning. "I'm looking for something small, just for me." Mom responded within seconds. "Don't be selfish, Katie. Family helps family." Anna chimed in. "It'd be so fun for the kids to have somewhere to visit." I turned off notifications. It didn't help. They started calling instead. Every conversation felt like a sales meeting where I was the unwilling investor. At work, my coworker Lisa glanced over from her desk. "You look like you're plotting a murder." I gave her a half smile. "Just family drama, you know how it is." She grimaced. "Oh no, was this about the house thing? I think I accidentally mentioned it to my neighbor. She's friends with your sister." I sighed. That explains a lot. That night, I scrolled through listings alone, ignoring everyone they sent. I wasn't chasing square footage, I just wanted peace. A place where no one could barge in, redecorate, or ask me to babysit. 2 weeks later, I found it. A cozy 2-bedroom cottage outside the city. White shutters, a small garden, creaky floors that hummed with old charm. The second I stepped inside, I knew it was mine. I signed the papers 3 days later, shaking with equal parts fear and joy. For once, I'd done something for myself. No approval, no committee, just me. When Mom called that weekend, I let it go to voicemail. Then, late that night, my phone buzzed again, this time from Anna. "Hey, when can we come see the place you bought? Mom says it's perfect for the kids." I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. I hadn't told anyone yet. And that was the moment I realized my secret wasn't a secret anymore. By the time Mom invited me to dinner to talk things over, I already knew what that meant. An ambush with appetizers. I almost said no, but curiosity won. I wanted to see how they'd spin this. When I walked in, the air smelled like garlic bread and manipulation. Anna was already at the table, glowing with the smug satisfaction of someone who believed she'd orchestrated my life better than I had. Josh was there too, glued to his phone, pretending not to notice the tension thick enough to cut with a steak knife. Mom emerged from the kitchen wearing her favorite hostess smile. "Katie, you're just in time. We've been so excited to talk about the Maple Street house." I sat down slowly. "Oh, I thought I said I wasn't looking there." Anna waved her fork, her nails perfectly manicured and infuriatingly confident. "You'll change your mind once you see it. It's perfect for us, close to schools, parks, the grocery store. Plus, you wouldn't even have to drive far to babysit." I nearly choked on my water. "Babysit? Anna, I'm not moving somewhere to be your backup nanny." Dad, who had been quiet until now, frowned over his plate. "That's not the attitude we raised you with. Family helps family." There it was again, that phrase, used like a weapon to keep me compliant. My pulse started to climb. Helping doesn't mean surrendering my entire life. I've been doing fine on my own. Mom set down her fork with a clink. "Sweetheart, no one's saying you can't be independent. We just think you're making choices without considering everyone else." I laughed, and it came out sharp. Everyone else seems to have considered themselves plenty. Anna's smile faltered. "Wait, you already bought something, didn't you?" For a split second, the room went still. I hadn't meant to reveal it, but there it was, hanging in the air like smoke. I met her eyes. "Yeah, I did." Mom's expression froze, then hardened into something brittle. "Without telling us." "Yes," I said, because I knew exactly what this would turn into. Anna's voice shot up an octave. "You can't be serious, Kate. Where are we supposed to stay when we visit?" "You're not," I replied simply. The silence that followed was almost satisfying, like the moment after a thunderclap when the air still crackles. Dad slammed his hand on the table. "You're being selfish." "Then maybe it's time I learned how," I said, standing up. My chair scraped across the floor, loud and final. "Enjoy dinner." I grabbed my coat and walked out before any of them could find another way to guilt me. In the car, my hands trembled on the steering wheel, but for the first time, it wasn't from fear. It was relief. They knew now. The secret was gone, and whatever storm came next, I was ready for it. I just didn't realize that storm would show up at my doorstep a few days later, uninvited and armed with a stolen key. The first knock came on a Tuesday evening, just as I'd settled in with takeout and a glass of wine. Through the peephole, Mom, holding a pie, the kind of peace offering she only brought when she wanted something. I considered pretending I wasn't home, but she spotted the living room light through the curtain. "Katie," I know you're in there, sweetheart. I sighed and opened the door. Hey, Mom. She beamed like nothing had ever happened. I thought I'd stop by and see how you're doing. I made your favorite apple pie. I preferred cherry, always had. That's nice, I'm good, thanks. Oh, come now. You're not going to leave me standing outside, are you? I hesitated just long enough for her to notice before stepping aside. She swept in like she owned the place, eyes darting across the room. I realized too late that she wasn't visiting, she was inspecting. This is lovely, she said, running a hand along the counter. So cozy, perfect for you, or, for everyone when we visit. There it was, the real reason she was here. I crossed my arms. I haven't invited anyone to visit, Mom. She laughed lightly, pretending not to hear. Anna, been so stressed with the kids lately. You should see her face, just exhausted. We were thinking maybe she could spend a few days here once you're settled. You have that second bedroom, right? Mom, that's not happening. Her smile tightened, the warmth fading behind her eyes. You don't mean that, your family. I do, I said, meeting her gaze. And I need you to respect that this house is mine. Something shifted in her expression, a flicker of offense, maybe disbelief. She set the pie down like it offended her, then brushed imaginary crumbs off her blouse. Well, I suppose I misread the situation. She left not long after, pausing on the porch to say, We just want to be part of your life, Kate. Don't shut us out. I closed the door quietly behind her and locked it twice. It wasn't until the next evening that I realized my spare key, the one I'd left on the counter when she was here, was gone. At first, I thought I misplaced it, but then came the text from my neighbor, Mrs. Hall, around 9 p.m. Hey, hun, I saw some people looking through your windows earlier. A couple with kids. Everything okay? My stomach turned. I called a locksmith immediately, packing the floor as he replaced every lock in the house. He offered to install a deadbolt camera setup too, and I said yes before he finished the sentence. When he left, the silence of the house felt different, taut, listening. I sat on the couch, staring at the new lock, realizing what I'd been too reluctant to admit. They weren't going to stop. And sure enough, 2 days later, I came home from the grocery store to find Anna's SUV parked right in front of my house. When I pulled into the driveway, Anna's silver SUV gleamed in the sunlight like it belonged there. My first thought was that maybe she'd come to apologize. My second thought, more realistic, was that something was very, very wrong. As I got closer, I saw it, the front door cracked open. My heart dropped. I froze for a second, keys in hand, every instinct screaming not to go inside. Then I heard laughter, children's laughter. I pushed the door open. There they were, Anna, Josh, and the kids, spread across my living room like they'd been here for hours. Sophia was sprawled on the couch surrounded by crumbs. Lucas was building towers out of my coasters, and Josh was raiding the fridge like it was his own. Anna turned when she saw me, utterly unbothered. Oh, hey, you're home early. I couldn't even speak. What are you doing here? She smiled like I was the one being ridiculous. Mom gave us the key. We figured it'd be easier to move in while you were out. Get settled before things got complicated. Move in. I thought I misheard her. Excuse me. Josh shut the fridge door. We needed more space, Kate. The kids have been cramped, and this place is perfect. Mom said you'd understand once you cooled off. I stared at them, my pulse roaring in my ears. My living room looked like a daycare explosion. Juice boxes on the coffee table, toys scattered across the rug, my throw blanket draped around Noah like a cape. Get out, I said quietly. Anna blinked. What? I said, get out of my house. She laughed nervously. Come on, Katie, don't be dramatic, we're family. I didn't answer. I pulled out my phone and started dialing. Her smile faltered. Wait, you're not seriously calling the cops. Watch me. Josh muttered something under his breath, but they froze when I spoke to the dispatcher. My voice shook, but I made sure every word was clear. Yes, I need officers sent to my address. My sister and her family broke into my home. When the police arrived, Anna tried to cry her way out of it. She said Mom told her she could use the key, that it wasn't really breaking in. The officers were polite but firm. They told her to leave immediately and warned her that any future entry would be treated as trespassing. Anna loaded the kids into the SUV in silence. Before she got in, she turned to me, red-eyed and shaking. "You've changed, Kate. You used to care about family." I didn't bother responding. I just watched as the car disappeared down the road, the echo of the kids, crying fatting with it. When the last police car pulled away, I locked the door again, my new reinforced lock, and sat on the floor until the shaking in my hands stopped. Relief and grief twisted together in my chest. It felt like I'd burned a bridge and saved myself in the same moment. But I should have known. It wouldn't end there. Mom always hated losing control, and by morning, the real fallout had already begun. The morning after the break-in, my phone lit up before sunrise. 21 missed calls, 10 voicemails, all from Mom. I didn't even have to listen to know the script. Guilt, outrage, and a healthy dose of denial. But I played the first one anyway. "Catherine, how could you? They're your family. You humiliated your sister in front of her children, Katie. What kind of person does that?" Delete. The next one was from Dad. His voice was sharp, colder than usual. "This isn't over. Family sticks together whether you like it or not." That one I saved. It didn't sound like disappointment, it sounded like a warning. By noon, my phone was a battlefield of texts, social media notifications, and half-baked apologies turned accusations. Anna had apparently gone full martyr online. I didn't follow her, but screenshots started rolling in from coworkers. A photo of her kids sleeping in a cramped bunk bed, captioned, "All they wanted was a little space, but I guess some people think family isn't worth helping any more broken heart." The comments were worse. Strangers, people I'd never met, calling me heartless, selfish, ungrateful. And of course, Mom's friends chiming in with concerned emojis and passive-aggressive prayers. At work, Lisa approached my desk hesitantly. "Hey, are you okay?" I forced a smile. "Fine." She bit her lip. "People are talking. You know how the rumor mill is. They think you kicked your sister out of your house." I almost laughed. "My house, the one she broke into." Lisa looked uncomfortable. "Yeah, but they only saw her side online." For a moment, I wanted to explain everything, to defend myself, to make people see reason. But then I realized I didn't owe them a single thing. Not anymore. That evening, I changed my privacy settings, blocked half my contacts, and called a lawyer. The woman on the other end, calm and precise, told me exactly what I needed to do. File a written report, send cease and desist letters, document every message. I did it all that night, every screenshot, every voicemail. When I finished, I sat in the quiet of my own house, and let the exhaustion sink in. I'd done everything right. I'd stood my ground. But still, that familiar ache crept in, the one that came whenever I remembered what family was supposed to mean. The doorbell rang. My stomach dropped. Through the peephole, Mom, same polite smile as before, holding another pie. I didn't open the door, not yet. I just stood there, watching her shift from cheerful to annoyed as the seconds stretched. She knocked again, harder this time. "Katie, sweetheart, let's talk. I want to make things right." I stayed silent. She waited another minute before setting the pie on the step and walking away, phone pressed to her ear. When I checked my voicemail later, a new message waited. "You'll regret this." And I did regret something, that I hadn't realized just how far they were willing to go next. By the weekend, I'd almost convinced myself things had calmed down. The calls had slowed, the online drama faded, and for the first time in weeks, I could drink coffee without checking my phone every 10 seconds. That illusion lasted exactly 2 days. Sunday morning, I woke to a faint scraping sound outside. Not the wind, not an animal, something deliberate. I peeked through the blinds and froze. Anna's SUV was back. I slipped on a hoodie and quietly stepped onto the porch. The scene hit me like déjà vu from a nightmare. Anna and Josh unloading boxes from the trunk, the kids chasing each other across my front lawn. "Anna," I shouted. She jumped, guilt flickering across her face for half a second before she pasted on a smile. "Oh, good. You're up. We thought we'd try again. You didn't answer Mom's texts." "I didn't answer," I said slowly, "because I told you to stay away." Josh lifted another box, muttering, "We're not doing this again, Kate." "Yes, we are," I snapped. "Get off my property." Anna's face crumpled. "Why are you being like this? We have nowhere else to go. You know how cramped the apartment is. Noah barely sleeps through the night. We thought this could be a fresh start." The audacity of it almost made me laugh. "You broke in, Anna. You don't get a fresh start here." She took a step forward, tears welling up. "Mom said you'd come around. She said you just needed time." "Mom's wrong," I said, pulling my phone out. "Leave now or I call the cops again." Her expression hardened. "You'd really do that to your own sister." "I already did." That ended it. Josh swore under his breath, grabbed a crying Lucas by the arm, and started shoving boxes back into the car. Anna stood there for a moment longer, tears streaking her face, staring at me like she didn't recognize the person standing in front of her. When they drove off, I waited until the sound of the engine faded before stepping back inside. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from something heavier. Grief, maybe, or finality. I called the police anyway, filing another report. The officer on the line recognized my name immediately. "We'll make a note, ma'am," he said, voice sympathetic. "They come back again, don't open the door, just call us." I thanked him, hung up, and sat on the couch staring at the untouched pie still sitting on my counter. The smell had soured by now, just like everything else connected to them. When the doorbell rang that night, I didn't need to look to know who it was this time. But when I finally opened the door, it wasn't Anna or Mom. It was a police officer, holding an envelope with my name on it. The officer stood on my porch under the porch light, his expression calm but cautious, like he'd done this before. "Kate Reynolds?" he asked. I nodded, my stomach sank. "What is that?" He handed me the envelope. "It's a formal complaint. Your family filed a report claiming you're withholding shared property and personal belongings." I stared at him. "Shared property? This is my house. They broke in." He gave a sympathetic shrug. "I know, ma'am. We've got your previous calls on record. This doesn't hold legal weight. It's just them trying to make noise. Still, I'd recommend documenting everything from here on out." After he left, I sat at the kitchen table, turning the letter over and over. The official header looked ridiculous above the messy handwriting at the bottom, Mom's signature. Below it, in Anna's handwriting, "We just want what's fair." Fair? I'd spent my entire life giving them fair. More than fair. That night, I scanned the letter, added it to my growing file of evidence, and emailed everything to my lawyer. Then I blocked every family member's number, even Mom's. My phone was finally silent. 2 days later, I came home to find my mailbox stuffed with envelopes, some from relatives, others from complete strangers who'd seen Anna's posts. One, from my aunt, simply read, "You'll regret shutting out family. Blood always finds a way back." I tore it up and dropped the pieces into the trash. That evening, I brewed tea, turned off my phone, and stood on the porch as the sun dipped behind the trees. For the first time in months, the air felt still. No buzzing phone, no headlights pulling into my driveway, no voices at my door. Just quiet. Inside, the cottage glowed warm and safe. The new locks gleamed under the hallway light. The security camera blinked steady, patient. This little house, my house, had become a fortress, not because I wanted to live like a hermit, but because I'd finally learned something my family never had. Boundaries aren't walls, they're lifelines. For years, I thought standing up for myself would mean losing everything: family, connection, love. But the truth was simpler and sadder. Those things were never really there to lose. I opened the window, letting the cool air in. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked and wind rustled through the garden. It didn't sound lonely. It sounded free. I glanced at the pie still sitting on the counter, now shriveled and sunken. I picked it up, walked out to the trash bin, and dropped it in with the rest of their letters. Then I closed the lid, dusted off my hands, and walked back inside. This time, I locked the door just once, not out of fear, but because it was my choice to keep it that way. And for the first time in my life, the silence didn't feel empty, it felt earned.